kids, it's Robin. Welcome to the new year. Question I'm getting a lot right now because it is the new year is when I'm setting goals for my company, for growth goals, what's a good goal to set? And it's a great question because most of the people that we interact with or the clients that when they first come to us, part of the problem is they really don't know what the goal is for the company. They don't know what the end game is. They don't have goals as far as how much they should be growing, by when, are they going to sell it, are they going to franchise it, how big do they want the company. So, it's really important for you to know and decide what your goals are because that steers everything in your organization. But, if you're a smaller MSP or IT service company and you're just kind of starting out, you might not know how to set those goals. So I wanted just to give you a couple of really quick guidelines. And the first thing I would recommend that you set as a goal is to make sure that your profit margins are correct. Because if you add more clients and more sales, but the profitability margin isn't there, you're only going to be making things worse. You're going to paint yourself into a corner. You're going to be busy, but you're not going to be profitable, and you're not going to have the money available to hire techs and get tools and resources and do more marketing. So you don't want to saddle yourself with a bunch of unprofitable clients, right? So number one is to make sure that your profitability is correct and make sure you're priced properly. So right below the video, I'm going to put an overview, a service plan comparison chart that's been recently updated that's going to give you a general guideline of how you should be packaging and pricing your managed services. Now, again, everybody's going to have a little different situation, but if if you're unsure of what to include in there and how to price things, you can look at this. And I can tell you, this is a pretty, it's not the most expensive. I can tell you there are members who are charging a lot more than the prices you're going to see on this chart. But I can tell you really don't want to go below that. It's really important that that's like a minimum. And the prices you're going to see on here are reasonable because you find somebody doing it cheaper always, right? There's always a Walmart out there. But these are reasonable. These are going to allow you to get the profit margins you need. So that would be number one, make sure your pricing's right. And just as a general rule of thumb, you want to make sure that you're getting anywhere between 67 and 70% gross margin on your projects, on your managed services, okay? And then contribution margin, you want to make sure you're in the 47% to 50% contribution margin. And again, these are just rough guidelines. Gross margin would be your profitability after all of the tools and software and costs that go into delivering managed services or the project. And contribution margin would be when all of the costs are fully burdened into delivering a service, but not including your general overhead, rent, utilities, your admin staff, etc. Okay. So again, gross margin about 67, 70% and contribution margin at 47 to 50%. So that would be goal number one. Now, the other thing to know is before COVID, the industry was growing at an average clip of about 10% per year. So if you were growing at 10% year over year, you weren't really growing. You were kind of standing still because the whole industry was growing. So in order for you to really be truly growing, you needed to be more in the 15 to 20%. Now, COVID hit and a lot of the industry is pretty much been slightly up, but nowhere near the norm. It's like we're still getting numbers and so forth, but a lot of people have been flat because they've lost some projects and revenue, and of course some have gained. Now again, that's not across the board. There's some people having their best year ever and some have gone out of business. So, you just look at that average. But in general, the IT services industry is growing 10% year over year. So at a minimum, your business should be growing at least 10% year over year. Now, a better growth goal would be to try and achieve gazelle status. Now, a gazelle is like a financial services term that was designed to describe the businesses that are not Main Street, small micro businesses, but not the big, enormous, big companies. So to be a gazelle, you have to have at least $1 million in revenue and get 20% growth for 4 years straight. Now, if you do that, you double your revenue because if you're at $1 million and you get 20% growth for 4 years, you end up roughly at about $2 million. And so 20% year over year growth is a very good, solid goal. It's doable. And, you might be able to do better, but that's kind of where you want to be. I could tell you our Producers Club members are growing somewhere in the average of 18% year over year. Okay. So that, to give you an idea, 18% is definitely doable. 20% is a little bit more of a reach. So if you are at least $1 million in revenue, one of your goals should be make sure you're profitable, but then also make sure that you're growing at a 20% growth. And if you do that, that's considered very, very good. All right. And 10% would be not good because, again, you're just kind of status quo at that point. Then a third goal that I would give you would be for net profit. And this is going to be an interesting one because 10% net is the new break even. So if you're running your business, 10% net, EBITDA, as they would call it, would be after you have paid yourself a fair market salary. So if you are running a managed services business, paying yourself $40,000 a year is not a fair market salary because you can't even get a tech of your level or skill level for $40,000. Well, maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe I don't know your technical expertise. But in general, you're not going to be able to get someone to do your job, what you're doing today, at $40,000. So I'm just using that as an example. So after a fair market salary to yourself, you're making 10% net. And again, 10% is the new break even. So you don't want to go less than 10%. But the other side of that is you don't want to have too much net profit, because if you're getting in the 20 plus percent, like 20% is fantastic, but if you're getting into 30, 40%, either you are not taking enough salary, so that's you're taking your salary that way, which is not net. You're calculating it incorrectly, but you are also not reinvesting in the company in marketing and sales sufficiently. And you're taking all the chips off the table. So I would say your profit margin that you want to target is somewhere between 10% to 20%, maybe even 10 to 15%. Again, after you've paid yourself a fair market salary. So you're getting your salary, you can live off that through the year. And at the end of the year, you're taking the profits off the table, which is great. And you can do some distributions to yourself, of course, maybe to some key employees if you want to do that. But your net profit, no less than 10%. And again, I would say no more than 20% if you want to grow, because again, growth eats cash. And so you want to be reinvesting money in your business. So hopefully this helps a little bit. I know these are financial goals. Of course, you might have other goals in your business, to upgrade your clients, to find certain team leaders, to launch new products and all those things. But I find that most people have a lot of trouble sort of deciding on or figuring out those growth goals. So hopefully this gave you some guidelines. Like I said, I'll put that pricing, the service plan comparison chart link right below the video. And if you have any other questions, of course, use the queue. Give us a call. Let us know how we can help. I will give you one other resource, by the way, just as an aside. Greg Crabtree is somebody we've worked with over the last 2 years, I think it is now. And he is a financial advisor to me. And I say financial advisor, not like an investment advisor, but he really is one of the smartest guys I know as far as looking at the financials in your business, showing you where you're on trend, where you're strong, where you're weak, where you're going to run into problems. And so another thing that I'm going to do is, and it's just for the members, this is not on a public website, is I'm going to put a link to the session that he did at boot camp. And I think it's really important. I saw some messages on the queue and some people were asking about this, and it felt hurtful to say, hey, sorry, Bubba, you missed boot camp, so you don't get this. So I don't know. I thought about it and I said, oh, what the hell? So I'm taking that session from boot camp and I'm making it available. And again, I will put that link right below this video. I would recommend that you watch that session, kicking off this new year, because you want to make sure you have your financial strategy correct pricing, profit margins, LER, which is labor efficiency ratio, so you're not overstaffed or understaffed. You're making a good fair market salary. Your profitability is in line. Because when you have that, then you can go forward confidently. You can get new clients, onboard new clients, and you'll know that the revenue is going to be there. The profits are going to be there to reinvest in the company, pay the bills, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's it, folks. Hope you liked the video and enjoy the resources. If you have any other questions, of course, reach out to us on the queue or in our help email. All right, thanks, everybody.